Vatsalehe
Yad anusmaryate kale
Yad Anusmaryate Kale
Svabudyar Bhadrarandhana
Svabudya Vadrarandhana
Etavatvam hi vibhubhir
Etavatvam
Vibhuvir
Vibhuvir
Bhavyam dineshu vatsalayah
Bhavyam
Bhavyam
Dineshu
Dineshu
Vatsalehe
Vatsalai
Yad anushmaryate kale
Yad
Yadana
Anusmaryate Kale
Kale
Svabuddhaya bhadrarandhana
Svabudya
Svabudyar
Vadrarandhana
Bhadrarandhana
Etavat.
Etavat
Thus.
Das
Tvam.
Tvam
Your lordship.
Your
Your
Lordship
He.
He
Certainly.
certainly
Vibhu Vihi.
Vibhubi
Vihi
By expansions.
by
by
expansion
expansions
Bhavyam.
Bhavyam
To be conceived.
to
to
be
be
conceived
conceived
Dineshu.
Dineshu
Unto the humble devotees.
unto the humble devotee
Vatsalehe.
Vatsala
Vatsalehe
Compassionate.
compassionate
Yat.
Yat
Which.
which
Anush Maryate.
Anusmarayate
Is always remembered.
is always remembered
Kale.
Kale
In due course of time.
in due course of time
Sva Buddhya.
Swa
Buddhya
Buddhaya
By one's devotional service.
by
one's
one's
devotional
devotional service
Abhadra Randane Na.
Abhadra
Abhadra
Sandana
Randana
O killer of all inauspiciousness.
O
killer
killer of
of
all
all
inauspiciousness.
inauspiciousness.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Dear Lord,
Dear
Dear
Lord,
Lord,
you are the killer of all inauspicious things.
you are
the
the
killer
killer of all
all
inauspicious
inauspicious
things.
things.
You are compassionate
You are compassionate
unto your poor devotees.
upon
your
the
poor
poor
devotees
devotees
Through the expansion of your Acha Vigraha.
through the
through the
expansion of your Archa Vigraha.
Vigraha.
You should certainly
You should certainly
think of us
think of us
as your eternal servants.
as your eternal servants.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The form of the Lord known as Acha Vigraha is an expansion of his unlimited potencies. When the Lord is gradually satisfied with the service of a devotee, in due course of time, he accepts the devotee as one of his many unalloyed servants. By nature, the Lord is very compassionate. Therefore, the service of neophyte devotees is accepted by the Lord. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktyate prajataji tad aham bhakti upartam ashnami priyatad manaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it. The devotee offers edibles in the form of vegetables, fruits, leaves, and water to the Acha Vigraha. The Lord, being Bhakta Vatsalya, compassionate upon his devotees, accepts these offerings. Atheists may think that the devotees are engaged in idol worship, but the fact is different. Janardhan, the Supreme Lord, accepts bhava, the attitude of service. The neophyte devotee engaged in the worship of the Lord may not understand the value of such worship, but the Supreme Lord, being Bhakta Vatsala, accepts his devotees and in due course of time takes him home. In this connection, there is a story about a Brahmana who was offering sweet rice to the Lord within his mind. The Brahmana had no money, no any means of worshipping the deity, but within his mind, he arranged everything nicely. He had gold pots to bring water from the sacred rivers to wash the deities. And he offered the deities very sumptuous food, including sweet rice. Once before he offered the sweet rice, he thought that it was too hot, and he thought, oh, let me test it. My, it is very hot. And when he put his finger in the sweet rice to test it, his finger was burnt and his meditation broke. Although he was offering food to the Lord within his mind, the Lord accepted it nonetheless. Consequently, the Lord in Vaikuntha immediately sent a chariot to bring the Brahmana back home, back to Godhead. Thus, it is the duty of every sincere devotee to accept the Acha Vigraha at home or in the temple and worship the form of the Lord as advised in authorized scriptures and directed by the spiritual master. Translation. Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotee through the expansion of your Acha Vigraha. You should certainly think of us as your eternal servants. I thought this is such a wonderful, wonderful verse. It covers everything so nicely, and it establishes the importance of deity worship. If I may, I like to share some personal experiences. Once I was advised by some authority that Srila Prabhupada didn't recommend us having deities at home. It's only due to our Indian attachments that we keep deities at home, but Prabhupada intended us to have deities in the temple. Now, I was quite conflicted because Shastra was saying, and I was very confused on what to do. Now, I've read from all my readings, it seems to be a contradiction from what the authority has been advising and what Srila Prabhupada, the Acharya, has been advising and what Shastra is saying. So in this verse, let's expand a little bit more so we may understand the importance of deity worship as well as to understand what needs to be done and what need to be done. And then we need to understand how we need to follow. And if there's a contradiction between what one says and what Shastra says, then we need to within ourselves, we need to follow what is a priority for us. So sometimes we may concoct a certain philosophy or a certain argument, but then if it conflicts with what the Acharya says and what our Shastra says, then we have to prioritize what the Acharya says and what the Shastra says. So even though it may come from so-called an authority, unless it is in line with Shastra and Sadhu, then we need to follow the rightful path. So in that case, in that sense, I would like to expand a little bit on this. Now, this verse is such a wonderful verse. It covers so many aspects of devotional service. So I'll first summarize some of the aspects that I think are important, and then I'll expand further on each of these aspects. The first one is, you are the killer of inauspicious things, right? In this verse, it said, you are the killer of inauspicious things. Darkness cannot prevail where there is light, right? Ignorance cannot prevail where there is knowledge, right? But it is our prerogative to accept the darkness or not. The Lord as a killer of inauspicious things. How does the Lord destroy inauspiciousness? Through his names, of course, by chanting, which cleanses our heart, which removes the dust of opaqueness, so we may be able to see the Lord very nicely, right? Through his pastimes, hearing about Krishna's we hear about Krishna's pastimes purifies our consciousness. So it's important for us to always hear about the Lord's pastimes through his presence, right? Wherever Krishna is remembered, inauspiciousness cannot remain. Wherever one speaks about Krishna, one remembers Krishna, wherever one thinks about Krishna, no inauspiciousness can prevail in that place, in that mind, in that consciousness. Bhakti yoga, devotion itself is purifying. So by following the 9 processes of bhakti, archanam, vandanam. So one of the processes of bhakti is deity worship, but I'll expand on that in a bit, right? Sunlight removes darkness automatically. Where there is Krishna, there is no ignorance. There is no misunderstanding. There's no concoctions. There's no misinterpretation. Sometimes Acharya may give a certain lesson that seems to, or certain instruction that may seem to contradict what he is saying. Like, I'll give you an example. There's an unsung hero we have called Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu. Now, Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu was serving from a very young age. Right till the time he left his body, he was serving the deities in Vrindavan, Radha Damodar, Krishna Balaram, Radha Shamashundar, and Gonitai, by cooking for the deities morning, midday, and afternoon. He used to get up early in the morning. Everything was impeccable. So, but he had told Srila Prabhupada, because of my deity worship and serving the Lord, I'm not able to chant my rounds. So what happened is, Srila Prabhupada gave him a certain exception. Srila Prabhupada said, for you, you don't need to chant your rounds. You need to just serve the deities, but under one consideration. While you're cooking for the deities, you just chant the holy names, you sing the holy names. So that does not mean, because Srila Prabhupada gave in that consideration an instruction to that one Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu, the one unsung hero, that it becomes a prevalent rule for the entire of ISKCON. In certain circumstances, Prabhupada gave a certain rule, a certain regulation that's only applied to the certain person, the certain time, place, and circumstances. It doesn't become so. If Srila Prabhupada mentioned once or twice that he didn't advise some devotees to have deities at home, it does not become a standard. Because Srila Prabhupada, I will expand a little bit on that, as well as the Bhagavatam. I'll expand from Bhagavatam on how it is repeated several times, how important it is for us to worship the deity in a temple, but also to establish deities at home and make our houses a temple. So the Hacha Vigraha is the Lord's compassionate expansion. In this verse, it is said that the Archa Vigraha is the Lord's compassionate expansion. That's from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:29-33 as well. The Lord appears in the deity form to accept the service of his devotees. The Supreme Lord is absolute, is Advaya Jnana. It means that he is absolute. His name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes are non-different from him, right? It's non-different from him. Therefore, the Archa Vigraha is Krishna himself in a worshipable form. So the Archa Vigraha is Krishna himself in the worshipable form. So this is supported by the Vedanta principle, right? The Lord possesses Achintya Shakti. The Lord possesses is Achintya Shakti. It's inconceivable potency. So in this way, the Lord can remain in the spiritual world, in Golok Vrindavan, and simultaneously appear in the deity form. It is non-different. It's still full of all opulences, it's still full of all Ashwarya, and is also full with the Lord's potency. The Lord and his deity is absolutely no different. So do not worship. So one of the, I'm summarizing, but I'm going to expand a bit. We should not worship the deity for money, for prestige, for show, or for any material aspirations, right? Because without devotion, the deity will appear as stone or brick or wood or metal, right? You will not, if we do not worship the deity with faith, with shraddha, with bhakti, with devotion, then that deity will remain a stone and an idol. So that is the fundamental difference between idol worship and deity worship. Out of millions of living beings, somehow or the other, the Lord has come into our lives, right? millions and millions of beings out there. But by some good fortune, the Lord has come into our lives. And now he is even willing to come into our homes. How fortunate are we? Right? Even Christians, although they say we do idol worship, but they worship the cross. Right? So it is an object as an object or a doorway or a stargate or a gateway for the objectable of the worship, the object of their worship. Right? The Muslims, they have the Mecca. So they worship the Mecca. So that is an object as well that they worship. So what happens is it's ordained in scripture as a bona fide representative of the Lord. Right? So I just found it very unusual that one would worship something that was used to sacrifice the Lord. Right? So that is one of the things that was said over there. So that was, you are compassionate unto your poor devotees. Right? Now, how is it compassion to the poor devotees? Is by enabling the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is the greatest object of compassion. Then the other point is, you should certainly think of us as your eternal servants, right? So we should not be fair with the devotees or fair with the servants. When favorable, when the conditions are favorable and we are favorably disposed in a favorable condition, then we worship the Lord. Otherwise, then, when things are dark and we go through difficult patches, then we will say, if my Lord, I worship you, how can you do this to me? Then we sort of use blackmail to the Lord. I'm always worshiping, I'm always doing it. Why am I suffering like this? When Queen Kunti actually prays for suffering, because in a time of suffering and in need, one becomes a very good devotee, or one depends on the Supreme Lord, one surrenders on the Supreme Lord. Saranagati. Right? Even if you find out, so even if someday we find out that Krishna is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, say we find out one day that Shiva or Ganesh is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Say hypothetically one day we are confronted with and we say, oh, Krishna is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like we always, still our faith, our surrender, and our bhakti to the Lord will not deviate one single bit. So whether he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken heart by not being present before me, right? Whatever happens, no matter how we move forward from here, you are our Lord unconditionally. You are my Lord, I'm your servant. You might have many servants, but I have only got one Lord. You may have millions of servants, but my Lord, my position is more unique than yours, because you have many servants. I am only one insignificant servant. But you, I've only got one Lord. I've only got one Lord, and that's you. Come what may, I will not deviate from that fact that you will remain my Lord unconditionally. No matter what may happen, I will not come. If somebody comes and tells you, an authority comes and tells you that Krishna is not God, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but Krishna will always remain the objective of the worship within my heart. Right? With unalloyed faith and devotion, we are undeviated to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:14-8, a devotee accepts all circumstances as the Lord's mercy. A devotee accepts all circumstances as the Lord's mercy. Right? So we are eternal. We are eternal servants of the Lord. Servitorship, right? Seva identity, right? Think of us as your internal servant. Right? The soul's natural identity is a servant of the Lord. Jivera Swarupai, Krishna Nityadas. We are loving service, in seva, not forced duty. We do not serve the Lord in forced duty out of obligations, out of family considerations, out of social considerations, out of community considerations. We worship the Lord out of seva because he is our worshipful Lord. He is our Lord and Master. It's a very, very personal thing, right? And what does poor mean? In this verse, the Lord says poor. What does it mean? It doesn't mean materially poor, that he doesn't have no money, right? It does not mean if you see a Krishna Bhakta and he's got a torn kurta, he's poor. Wealth is not considered by what you use, how you look, or what you own. If that was true, then why we say Sri Vyasa Varsha, right? Why do we say that? Sri Vyasa, why Shri? Shri means all opulent, right? Why do we say that? Why we say Sri Shukadeva Varsha? Shukadeva was dressed by the four directions, right? The Digambar. He didn't even have a cloth, even on a torn shirt. He didn't even have a cloth to use. He was naked right throughout. He was dressed by the four directions, Digambar, right? So he didn't hold even a cloth, not even a string. And he is called Sri Vyasa. So he is called Sri. Why is that? Sri means all opulent, right? Why is it it's called Sri? It's because he owns the all opulent Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Shri Shukadeva Varsha. Shukadeva Goswami was a brahmachari. He owned nothing. But why when we say Shri Shuka Varsha? All opulent Shri Shukadeva Goswami. So it does not, so that poor does not mean we materially poor. A real poor person is a person who is spiritually poor. He may be the richest man on earth financially, but if he doesn't know the holy name, he doesn't surrender to the Supreme Lord, whether it be Jesus, maybe Allah or Krishna. If he does not surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is considered to be the real poor man, right? So, but then why does this verse say, you poor devotee? It means the mood of a devotee is humility, dainya, right? Dependence on the grace is gratitude, right? It's humble, it's submissive. That is why it means poor, is humility. Like for example, Prahlad Maharaj was fully dependent on the Lord despite danger. He was fully dependent on the Lord, right? No matter what came, he was fully dependent on the Lord. So spiritual advancement begins with humility. Spiritual advancement begins with humility. Something I know nothing about. Something I can only read and tell you. I cannot speak from realization. The door to the store gate of bhakti is humility. If you want to go into the storehouse of bhakti, the doorway is the key to the doorway is bhakti, right? The key to open the door to get into the storehouse of bhakti, sorry, I repeat, the key to the door to get into the storehouse of bhakti is humility. You cannot enter the stores of bhakti if you do not enter through the door of saranagati. So the key is humility and the door is surrender. And that is how you enter the storehouse of bhakti. Without humility and without surrender, you cannot get into the door. You cannot get into the deep mood of bhakti. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1, 2, 17 and 18 is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of all. He is transcendental to material modes of perceptions. He is self-sufficient, svarat, fully aware and beyond the reach of our senses. So with our senses, our eyes, our touch, our nose, our mouth, we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of God. He is beyond our conception, right? He is self-sufficient, he is svarat, he is fully aware and beyond the reach of our senses. Our senses cannot understand the Supreme Lord. So Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Ananta, who is beyond space and time. Ananta means he's beyond space and time. Yet out of anukampa, out of compassion, out of anukampa, out of compassion, he manifests between us as the Archa Vigraha. It's not an idol. The Lord manifests out of his compassionate nature as the Archa Vigraha. So the most compassionate manifestation, physical manifestation of the Lord within this creation is his Archa Vigraha. So that we can see, serve, and love him and develop a relationship through him, through these bona fide established deity system, and develop a relationship with him, right? This relationship is something like what you would think of a mother who, through menial service of the child, becomes attached the entire life. Through the entire life, attachments comes from the service of the child. So similarly, if we serve the Lord with love and devotion, that attachment, that relationship will be developed eternally, right? So no matter how old the child, how competent, how experienced, what a great position that child may achieve as he grows older, still the parent gets immense amount of a joy from doing just menial service for the child. I don't know any parent who does not like to do service for the child. Right? That is one of the purest relationships one can have in the material conception. So Parananda Usha Van Parasvaya, the joy of a devotee comes from serving the Lord. Or more simply, Swaha Shukham Shuham Para Nigrane. True pleasure is derived from pleasing others, especially the Lord. So one derives pleasure by serving others. The true pleasure, the true joy comes from service of others. It's a bit of a contradiction these days because everybody tries to serve themselves, but they can never achieve happiness, because happiness is not achieved by pleasing oneself, but actually happiness is achieved in pleasing others. It seems a contradiction, but it's true. So then there's a verse called E Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate. Gopisha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanta Namastute. We sing this verse every day. Now this verse is very, very important. It's a very beautiful verse, and it's very pertaining to this current shloka. So the first part of this verse, the Lord is glorified in his material universal form, like Krishna is Karna Sindhu, right? He's Dina Bandhu, he's Jagat Pate, he's Lord of the universe, right? He's the manifestation. These are the Lord's manifestation in the material world. Then Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namastute is his names in the spiritual world. And his names in the spiritual world, in association with his devotees, is a much superior name. Like Gopisha Gopika Kanta or Radha Kanta. These are the superior names of the Lord. So by calling out these names of the Lord, one can achieve great happiness, right? So the translation for that verse is, "Oh Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed, Dina Bandhu, and the source of the universe, Jagat Pate. You are the master of the gopis, Gopisha, and the beloved of Radha, Radha Kanta. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you." So these are the different names of the Lord that expands his compassionate nature. He is Daya Shindu. He's an ocean of mercy. He's not a droplet of mercy. He's not a river of mercy. He is an ocean of mercy. But let me tell you about this ocean. This ocean is not like our ocean. It has no shores. In the ocean of mercy, in the ocean of bhakti, there is no shores. Either way, there's no shores. It is unlimited. There is no shores, and there's no depth. No matter how deep you go, there's no depth. The mercy of the Lord, bhakti of the Lord, in this ocean of bhakti, in this ocean of mercy, there's no limit. But here's a conundrum. Although there's no limit and there's no shores and no depth, it's ever expanding. It's ever expanding. The Patita Pavan, right? The purifier of the fallen, the liberator of hopeless, right? I am hopeless. I am, so one devotee was once saying, you are known as, Karna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, right? But my point is that I have to be a devotee to be a recipient of that mercy, right? I have to be a devotee to be a recipient of that mercy. I have to follow you, but I am so fallen. I'm not even a devotee. I cannot be considered a devotee. But nevertheless, my dear Lord, even though I may not qualify as, under the umbrella of Patita Pavan, right, or Dina Bandhu, but then, my Lord, even that as well, you are Jagat Pate. You are Lord of the universe. I'm one insignificant person in this universe. So you are the Lord of the universe. So at least then there's some hope for me. At least because you are the Lord of the universe, there's some hope for me. Even though I might be hopeless when it comes to for your Daya Sindhu, for your Patita Pavan. But at least I'm Jagat Pate as the Lord of the universe. At least by that mercy, you may show some consideration for me, right? No one is beyond the mercy of the Lord. I repeat, no one is beyond the mercy of the Lord, right? No one. Anyone sincerely seeking refuge, saranagati, can be purified. Anybody, if you would sincerity be seeking, no matter what all our inauspiciousness, but all our anatas, all our bad habits, but all our desires, all we have to do is come say, my Lord, I surrender unto you. You remember the story when Lord Ramachandra, when Vivishwan came and he said, Ramachandra, I want to surrender to you. So there was a big meeting, and they all decided, no, maybe he's coming as a spy. Maybe he's coming here to come and to cause disruption with us. So there was a big meeting, and all of them were contributing of why, they shouldn't accept the brother of Ravan in their camp. And so there was a big meeting. But Hanuman, while everyone was giving so many consideration, Hanuman said, my Lord is so merciful that whoever comes and surrenders unto him, he doesn't abandon them. Whether sincerely or whether he has ulterior motive, he will accept it. So all you have to do is bow down before the Lord. Raise your hand from the Lord, and the Lord will accept you. Right? And eventually, in due course of time, the Lord will send a chariot to pick you up. It's that simple. It is confirmed. It's 100% confirmed. Right? Now, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.532 purport. Right? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord's mercy, daya, is so vast that even the most fallen soul can be purified if he surrenders sincerely. Sharanagata. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 4.128. Lord Chaitanya, as Patita Pavan and Daya Shindu, shows his mercy flows like an ocean to the fallen souls. Bhagavad Gita 9.22. To those who are devoted to me, I give the understanding of which you can come to me. Come closer to me. Understanding inauspiciousness, aprakta. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:17 to 18, hearing about Krishna, Sravana, purifies the heart. Examples, what it purifies the heart? Of anxiety, chinta, anger, krodha, ego, ahamkara, and greed, lobha. Right? The Lord's mercy purifies the heart. When the Lord goes there, his Lord purifies the heart. And what are these? These are the inauspicious residents of the heart. And the Lord immediately dispels them. All right? The example here is Ajamil. Right? Ajamil called Narayan at death. Immediately liberation, moksha, was awarded to him. Even unintentional remembrance of the Lord purifies. So what to speak of intentional liberation, deliberate endeavors. So if one even unintentionally calls on the Lord gives so much of mercy. Imagine if we start to chant our Lord with some kind of deliberate intention. If we go for worship the Lord and we look at the Lord with some kind of deliberate intention, imagine then how much more that unlimited mercy of the Lord flows within our heart. We do not know how lucky we are. And this luck was created by Srila Prabhupada. Lord as a destroyer of inauspiciousness. Now the example of that is Putana, right? The purification through surrender, even forced surrender. She was forced. She said, leave me, child, leave me, child. But once Krishna gets hold of somebody, there's no leaving. The Shastra says, when Putana was screaming, leave me, child, the Shastra says that she was asking the wrong thing from the wrong person. But once Krishna grabs somebody, he never lets go of them. He never lets go of them. In fact, he gave her the position in the highest, one of the highest position as a nurse or a mother in Golok Vrindavan. The other example of surrender to the Lord is Gajendra. Gajendra, after an extended period of time, trying to take control of the situation, when he realized that I'm finished now, and I did everything without my endeavor, I'm failing, then he put his hand in the hair and he cried to the Lord. And the Lord, when he did that, the Lord would haste, with absolute haste. In fact, it said when somebody calls the Lord takes archanam, and then he washes his feet, he washes his hand, he takes his a sash, he puts it on his shoulder, he jumps on Garuda and he goes. But when Garuda was calling, the Lord didn't even put his shoes on properly and he was running. Even Garuda couldn't keep up with the Lord because his devotee was calling him. His devotee was calling him that even Garuda couldn't keep up with the Lord. The Lord was running towards Gajendra with haste. So when we surrender to the Lord with both hands, fully surrender to the Lord will all haste will come and he will protect us. The Acha Vigraha. So why God appears in this form? God is avaktya, unmanifested, unlimited. Humans are material and sense-bound, and we are sense-bound. We were very limited in our senses. We're very limited what we can see, what we can. In fact, even dogs have a greater sense of perception than we do, right? Animals have a greater perception than what we humans have, right? So we have a very limited perception, very limited material senses, right? So what to do, the Lord was singing, what to do, you know? So the Lord appears as the Acha Vigraha, the worshipable form, the Acha, right? The worshipable form is Acha, and the manifest form is Vigraha. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3:29-25. So it's an Achadav Achayat Tvad Ishvaram. So the example of here is Dhruva Maharaj. He meditated on the Lord's form. The Lord appeared externally, and then the Lord gave him darshan, right? I'm going very briefly. Each of these points warrants a much more detailed overview, but time permitting, I'll just give an overview. The deity is alive. It's not stone. He is Jivante Vigraha. Jivante Vigraha. It's alive. It's not just stone. It's not marble. It's not wood. The Lord is alive. Right? And then we can develop the relationship with Him. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:14-21. Bhaktyamam ekya griyaha. Meaning the Lord is understood only through devotion. Only through devotion. Conclusion. Bhakti is the method. Acha Vigraha is the medium. Mercy and the grace of the Lord is the result. Bhakti is the medium. Acha Vigraha, Bhakti is the method. The method is we employ is Bhakti. Acha Vigraha is the medium. All right. And mercy or the grace of the Lord is the results. Bhava, the heart of offering. Bhagavad Gita 9:26, where it's mentioned over Patram Pushpam Palam Tam Yomi Bhakti Priyajate Tadaham Bhakti Upartam Ashtami Priyatatmanaham. Even a leaf, patram, a fruit, pala, a flower, pushpa, or water, toya, offered with devotion, bhakti is accepted. But the operative word is bhakti, and therefore is mentioned twice. The practical example for that is Vidura's wife. Vidura's wife was giving banana peels, palapata. Palapata, he was giving banana leaf to the Lord to eat and throwing away the bananas. But because she was giving a devotion, it was the most relishable thing to the Lord. The other example is Sudama Brahman. He brought chip rice to the king, to the emperor, to the supreme personality of Godhead, right? The possessor of all wealth, and little bit of chip rice, and he brought is tandula, a little bit of chip rice. And the Lord found is the most tastiest, delicious thing he ever tasted, right? So mental worship from a Brahmana, right? We mentioned over here, he burnt his finger and the offering was still accepted. Even mental worship, if you can't even afford to bring some banana peel or even a chip rice, then you can offer the Lord from your mind. In the age of Kali, whatever service one does in the mind is accepted fully as service. And whatever offenses one commit in the mind is not considered, as long as it stays within the mind, right? So that is a unique consideration we have in the age of Kali, right? So the other example is Draupadi, surrendered with faith, with Shraddha, cried, Govinda Damodar Madhave, right? With humility she cried, right? When she was humiliated, when she was humiliated in the courtyard by Durshana, with both hands in the hair. So first, what she was doing when sari was being pulled, she was holding it one hand and both hands, and she was screaming for help. She didn't call to her husbands. She didn't call to grandfather Bhishma, Kripacharya, Dronacharya. She knew only one person, and she called to Krishna, right? And she was calling. Krishna didn't come. Then she put one hand in the hair and she was calling to Krishna, and Krishna didn't come. Krishna didn't come. And then she realized, what is my effort? How can I stop myself from this predicament? How can I save myself from this predicament? And she put both hands in the hair. And when she put both hands in the hair, that is the significance of full surrender to you. With both hands, my dear Lord, you are my worshipper, Lord. I leave it to you entirely. You do with me as you like. And then the Lord came with all haste and manifested as a sari. There's a nice story where the sari came from as well, from Katyayani pastime. But we'll talk about it some other time. So Draupadi surrendered with full faith, and the Lord intervened immediately. Now that brings out a consideration, right? Why didn't the Lord intervene when Yudhishthira Maharaj was gambling and lost everyone in a dice match? Why didn't he intervene then? The Lord was present. He was in the assembly. He was sitting among the audience. And yet the dice match, he didn't do anything when Yudhishthira Maharaj was losing everything. He lost everything. His devotee was losing everything. He lost even himself. So the consideration is, why didn't the Lord intervene at that time? And then Vedavya Spirit Maharaj, he actually expanded on this. He said, see, when Duryodhana was going to do it, he knew very well that his uncle knew how to cheat in the dice match. So he called his uncle Shukindi, and he told him, you come and do it on my behalf. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, he did not surrender to the Lord. He placed the dice match on his own. Although the Lord was sitting right there in the assembly, he was right out there, he was watching the whole thing. The Lord didn't intervene because Yudhishthira Maharaj did not surrender unto the Lord. He did not invite the Lord to come and take charge of the situation. So Vedavya Spirit Maharaj says, because he did not offer the Lord the opportunity to take charge of the situation, then the consequences was his own. But Draupadi, on the other hand, surrendered to the Lord, and the Lord manifests. So that's a very good teaching for all of us, that if in any situation, in any consideration, surrender unto the Lord, not with one hand, not half-heartedly, with full hands, full surrender, and the Lord will reciprocate, because the Lord is a living being. The deity, the Archa Vigraha, is a living being. When we go in front of the deities in a temple, they're not just stone. Oh, they look so nice today. Oh, they got such a nice tilak on. Oh, anyway, I'll come back to that in a second. So chanting and deity worship, Nama Sankirtana. So in this age, Yuga Dharma, our age is Nama Sankirtana. So why are we doing deity worship? Of course, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established our Sampradaya, he took two things from all the Sampradayas, right? And one of the things he took was deity worship, and he established our Sankirtan movement. So two things from each Sampradaya and established our deity movement. But we'll expand on that some other time. So although everything is there, deity worship is also part of our Navada Bhakti, right? So although Sankirtan is primary, but deity worship is very important. So why, if we have deity worship, that the primary activity is Nama Sankirtana, the Yuga Dharma for this age, why do we do deity worship, which was recommended in the previous age? Why? Because deity worship, the Archana, develops relationships and strengthens devotion. It develops relationship and it strengthens devotion. The example of here is Haridas Thakur. He is constantly chanting kirtan with deep realization. Srila Prabhupada said, where is the need for glory, for a gorgeous temple? It is a tool for preaching. He says, I don't need it, Prabhupada said. I could sit under a tree, but people would not come. Temples and deities help people practice bhakti, tangible for us, conditioned souls. So darshan, seeing the Lord and being seen the Lord. Now, why I expand on this is that last week, I think it was Kadambini Radha Mataji was saying, when she goes to the festival, even sometimes it's so full that she cannot see the deities, right? So when we go to see, it doesn't really matter, right? So darshan happens when one sees the Lord, but darshan also happens when the Lord sees us. When we go in front of the Lord, we go presented very nicely with clean clothes, and the Lord takes darshan from us, by us. The Lord loves seeing his devotees. The Lord takes a lot of great satisfaction in seeing the devotees. So when we go in front of the Lord, it's not one that it's one-sided that we want to see the Lord. The Lord looks waiting for us, and he wants to see us with more eagerness than we want to see him. The Lord can extinguish the fire of material suffering just by his glance. Just by glancing on us, he can remove all inauspiciousness, and he can remove the fire of this material suffering just by glancing on us. So being seen by the Lord is more important by us seeing the Lord. What can we see with this little chakshus, little bit of balls that we call eyeballs? What can we see? To put the light off, we can't say anything. So therefore, it's more important for the Lord to see us. Even if you go to the temple and we cannot see the deities, no problem. The deities can see us, right? So, so the Lord never leaves Vrindavan. Other consideration, it says the Lord never leaves Vrindavan, right? If the Lord never leaves Vrindavan, and how is he that he is now in Australia, he's in Brisbane, he's US, he's in UK? How is it possible? The Lord says that he never leaves Vrindavan, but yet now he's manifesting in your house, in my house, in our temple, across the world is appearing, right? Because what happened, Srila Prabhupada created a very unique situation. He created our house. When we invite the Lord, he creates our house to become Vrindavan. So the Lord never leaves Vrindavan, but he's here in UK, he's in US and in AU. So that because now instead of the Lord leaving Vrindavan, Vrindavan manifests in our abode. So when we invite the Lord and we have Acha Vigraha at home, our house becomes a temple and our land becomes Golok Vrindavan. Oh, Vrindavan, not Golok, but yes. So there are 5 kinds of Vrindavan. There's Golok Vrindavan, Bhumi Vrindavan, Aprak Vrindavan, right? There's Bhakti Ke Prakat Vrindavan, right? And the Man Meru Vrindavan. So there's Golok Vrindavan, there's Vrindavan that we know in India. The unmanifested Vrindavan, there's spiritual Vrindavan. And then the Bhakti Vrindavan is a Vrindavan that is created by Bhakti. And then there's a Vrindavan that's created in the mind. The identity of the eternal servant, Nitya Dash, right? So in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:10-6, it says, we are not mind, body. We're not the body, we are not mind, we're not senses, but we are eternal servants, Nitya Dasha of Krishna, right? So home worship, home deities, Griya Vishnu Mandira, it's called. It's called Griya Vishnu Mandira, our home deities, right? So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:5-23. I'm going to go a little bit faster because time is running short. So it's worship Archana, the service of the Lord, Darshana, daily Nitya. So we need to serve the Lord Nitya daily is essential, right? Home becomes, and then the home becomes Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. Bhagavad Gita 9:26. Even simple offering is accepted if offered with devotion or bhakti. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:3-22. In his lecture on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:3-22, Srila Prabhupada emphasized that householders should install and worship deities at home. Right? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5:5-3, Srila Prabhupada writes, a householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. He should worship the deity at home, observe festivals, invite friends, and give them prasadam. A householder should earn money for this purpose and not for sense gratification. He tells devotees that one can worship Gaunitai at home, or offering food, do artik and chanting, even with limited facility. That's in a letter on the 15th of February, 1975. In a letter on the 27th of January, 1973, he writes that one can make one's home a temple by chanting Hare Krishna, keeping a picture of Krishna, and offering cooked food to the Lord. So the food one eats becomes spiritual and helps one advance. Prabhupada expressed his desire that his household devotees sincerely take up deity worship in their homes as a practical process for advancing Krishna consciousness while performing one's household duties. In the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada comments on Rupa Goswami's teaching. The examples is, if one becomes attached to Sri Murti or the deity of Krishna by worshipping at home, then worldly distractions fall away and the worship of Om leads one towards pure devotion. Nectar of Devotion commentary. And the commentary on Nectar of Devotion, Om deity worship removes worldly distractions. Srila Prabhupada said, every householder should have a deity or picture at home. This transforms the home into a temple, Griya Vishnu Mandir, letter 1968. Home worship anchors devotion and purifies the householder, Griya Shuruksha. Srila Prabhupada explicitly said that a householder should worship deities at home and earn money for the purpose, not for sense gratification. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 5:5-3 Prabhupada expands. He also writes in his personal letters that one can make his home a temple by chanting and keeping pictures and deities and offering food to the deities daily, right? And with devotion. Scriptures also prescribe that householders install and serve the deities if they can do so strictly according to the Archana Vidhi, making home deity worship both a spiritual and a practical recommendation. Right? So I'm going to jump forward a little bit. So I was going to tell how to worship deities, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. So the example here, of course, is given. This is of course to show the deity is not just a stone. The example is Sakshi Gopal when the deity walked for the devotee. The deity is alive. He told it. The deity said, "I can't walk. I'm a stone." So Sakshi Gopal said, "If you can talk, you can walk." And then he walked behind Sakshi Gopal. Mukunda Datta, a devotee at a 5-year-old child, were offered laddu, sweet balls, to the deity in this purport Prabhupada mentioned. And the deity jumped from the altar and ate it because the child offered with pure sincerity. Srila Prabhupada writes, the child offered the laddu to the deity, and the Lord, being very compassionate, Bhakta Vatsalya, accepted it. This shows that even the smallest and the simplest offering made with love are fully accepted. Even if you can't afford, you can afford to, even if you can't afford it materially, you can afford the Lord's elaborate, gorgeous offering in the mind. Manasa, right? Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Brahmana who offered sweet rice and meditation. That's mentioned in Bhagavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10:75, I think it is. Right? The stories, reference, yes, of 7:15:32 to 33. A Brahmana had no money to offer food to the deity, and Prabhupada mentioned this over here. He mentally prepared a sumptuous offering with gold pots, water from sacred rivers, and sweet rice. When tasting the rice, his fingers was burnt, breaking his meditation. What was the outcome in this verse? The outcome was, despite the mental offering being interrupted, the Lord accepted and sent the chariot to bring the Brahmana back to Vaikuntha. The Lord accepts sincere devotion, even if imperfect or imaginary. Draupadi crying, right? Draupadi is crying in Mahabharata, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:18-16, the story when Draupadi tried herself, which we mentioned earlier on. That is another example. So these are some of the cautions one has to employ when one is doing deity worship. Avoid worshiping deity for wealth, opulence, material desires, arthatha. Avoid prestige, prajana, vritti. Avoid neglect, alasya. So you establish a bare minimum, which is called a nidhi, even if it's just offering water, and that's what you do every day as a bare minimum, right? As a bare minimum. Nothing, anything more than that, you say I'm going to offer water every day. So say someday I decide I'm going to offer 5 sets of preparations, 108 preparations, sweet rice, 20 different drinks, right? That's fine. But you still offer your water. The Lord asks, where's my nidhi? So you can offer a great, elaborate offering, but you make sure that you do not leave out your basic one as well. Because that, come what may, the Lord is looking for that. So cautions in deity worship. Do not treat the deity as an object or impersonal. Never treat the deity mere as decorations, symbols, or financial instruments. This is from our deity worship guidelines. Example of misuse: using the deity for money making. Never use the deity for money making, for prestige, or sentimental purposes to condemn, which is condemned by Srila Prabhupada. So don't use a deity like you have some deity and people come with donations and you use that as a source of income. Never use a deity for that. Proper installation authority. The deity must be installed by proper rituals, prana, pratishta, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Improper installation can make worship ineffective or disrespectful. Reference of that is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 2:3-22. Avoid negligence. Deity worship should not be treated as a burden or routine call. Oh my God, I didn't do my offering today. I've got to go home now. I got to still change the deities. Do not serve the deity out of burden. You should serve the deity out of enthusiasm. One person asked Srila Prabhupada, what if I do not have enthusiasm? Prabhupada said, act enthusiastic. Even if you're not enthusiastic, act enthusiastic, and enthusiasm will come. So never look at the deity as a burden or a routine chore. negligence or carelessness service is considered an offense against the Lord. That's a quote from Srila Prabhupada. Deities must be treated as one's most respected family member. Worship with negligence is a great offense. So when you're taking care of the deities, when you're cooking for home, you're cooking for the family, and the deity should be considered part of the family. You should treat the deity as part of the family and should serve them as part of your family, not inseparable, not that the deity is there and the family is here. It's the entire thing. It's a complete household, right? So those lacking proper knowledge should learn before performing rituals. So get some kind of guideline from other devotees, right? Practical guidelines for home worship. Start small. With 1 or 2 deities, clean the altar, simple offerings, daily chanting, daily offering of food, reference of that nectar of devotion. Oh, worship purifies the mind and advanced devotion, right? So you treat the deity, through simple key principles, you treat the deity as living, jivata vigraha. Do not treat the deity as an object or for decoration, not like a toy, not like a doll. It's very important, right? Even Srila Prabhupada himself, when he was very young, his father gave him deities to worship, and he worshipped the deities from a small boy. He learned to worship deities. In fact, he even did Rath Yatra for the deities, right? Offered prasadam and stuff like that. So deity worship is not a ritualistic show. It is a devotional anchor. It's not a ritualistic show. It is a devotional anchor. When performed sincerely, it purifies the heart, strengthens devotions, and brings one closer to Golok Vrindavan. Following Prabhupada's standards and cautions ensures that deity is honored, protected, and fully responsive to the devotee's love. It is fully responsive. How you treat the deity will reciprocate with you. You don't have to become perfect to begin deity worship. Begin, and the Lord will gradually perfect you. The Acha Vigraha is not a symbol, but the Lord's mercy presence. Though we are limited, He is unlimited. Though He who is unlimited becomes accessible. Though we are imperfect, He will accept our service. Though we are forgetful, He will gradually reveal our eternal identity to His service. The Acha Vigraha is the Lord's mercy, the Lord's presence, the Lord's invitation. Through it, faith becomes relationship, ritual becomes love, spiritual, and practice begets realizations. So with that, I will stop. I went a little bit over. I apologize for that. If there's any corrections, any contributions, any questions, we welcome you to unmute yourself and contribute towards this wonderful verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much for your very well-researched and very nicely presented class, Prabhu. And as you said at the start, we need to look at Prabhupada's instructions based on what is the context in which it was given.
Yes.
Because without the context, and because things are always, Prabhupada said different things in different places. So it's
Yes.
not possible for us to understand it without the context. And certainly, one thing that when I was looking at, I can't remember whether it was in class or in some writing, the devotee presented very nicely. He said the hierarchy in which we should accept Prabhupada's teachings in terms of it, first is written instructions, his books, because that he knew that he was presenting for everybody. So what he is given in the books, that is the highest.
Yes.
Then comes his classes. When he was speaking, again, he knew it. So that comes, because again, in the classes, the audience could be varied. We don't know what exactly was the composition, but still, that comes next. Then he said, next comes the conversations. Then comes the letters. A lot of times we take the letters as the be all and end all, ignoring the first three. So we need to go down in the order, because the letters are actually personal questions that were asked by the devotees to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was responding to a particular situation of a devotee or a temple. So that we can't take that and apply it across the board. So we need to go through in that order. So just that, I thought I'll just add that a little bit into it. But really wonderful class, Prabhu. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. We should always take reference from Srila Prabhupada's great example. And remember that he is the founder Acharya. Whatever he said, whatever he put in his books is the bona fide guideline for us. And that's our first go-to. And there have been some deviations. I heard like once when devotees were not going on Sankirtan because it was Ekadashi. And Srila Prabhupada told him, then eat grain. Even I think they mentioned eat meat if you have to. But the higher purpose needs to be fulfilled. That does not mean that we don't follow Ekadashi or that we don't be vegetarians. So Prabhupada is making a point. We should understand what the point is, and we shouldn't base everything on that. And yes, so therefore I was a little bit conflicted when I was told this by our authorities locally that Srila Prabhupada didn't want us to have deities at home, and only out of our Indian sentimentality we keep deities at home, but Prabhupada intended us to have deities in the temple, and we should all go to the temple for worship, and at home just have a little pitch of offering. So I was quite conflicted because that's not what I understood. But what to do, what to do. So I thought because it was pertaining to today's verse, it's good for us when we relate our own personal experiences, so we can all relate to that. So I didn't mean to offend anybody, but I just presented it like that. So yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavat Maya.
Raj Prabhuji, thank you very much for such a wonderful class. And I can see how hard work you have done yourself, bringing all the beautiful verses, references from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are very fortunate that we have got devotees like you who
Krishna.
don't come to the class just like that. Actually, it's coming with lot of hard work, and it just everything is in our plate. The only thing is that hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class from the devotees, it's not just hearing it and then just say, oh, I have attended the class. We have to really go, because I actually always keep a pen and the paper, and I write the verses which a devotee is referring, so that I can go back to them. So it is very important. That is actually not hearing just, but actually trying to meditate on those verses. So this is very important. I was just saying, you mentioned about nectar of devotion. So Sri Rupa Goswami has given all these. He has said that 5 potent forms of devotional service, and he says that all 5 we know: residing in Mathura, worshipping deity of the Lord, reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, serving a devotee, and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So all these things are there. And he also says that a small attachment for any one of these 5 items can arouse devotional ecstasy even in a new fight. So for us, we should understand that even if we are not worshipping the deities, and for a householder, it is very important that one should have a deity or a picture where we can offer the bhogas to the deities, because we devotees don't eat anything unless until it is offered to the Lord. So that sort of consciousness we should have. But what I understand earlier, Srila Prabhupada said that we shouldn't have deities at home, means that in earlier, say, if people started having deities at home, they won't come to the temples. So that was the one reason that he did say that we shouldn't have. But as the movement expanded and people living in very far places, long distance from the temples, so it was necessary that a householder should have deity. I remember when I got my first initiation, my Guru Maharaj, actually he arranged for the deities from Vrindavan, Gaur-Nitai, and he personally gave it to us to worship them. So that is one important thing, that that's the mercy of the Lord, that they are at your home and you feel their presence. So that's one thing. Another thing I just want to say quickly about the story of the Brahmana who was a poor. Like we can say poor means in this case is that he didn't have means or money to offer the bhogas, but he meditated. Actually, this story is mentioned in, I think, in the Nectar Devotion also about this Brahmana. So how we can meditate in the mind, but these are certain circumstances. But if we are able to offer all the opulent bhogas to the Lord, that is actually preferred. Like I know that all the devotees have means, but we should try not to just meditate that we have offered, because I know that somebody was saying that, once I think they say, oh, I offered everything on mind. And then I told them, all right, then you should also eat in mind. There is no need to eat. So,
That's a
the
good one.
children always say something. Oh, I offered in mind. I said, okay, you eat it in mind. So that's very. Anyway, Prabhuji, there are so many things that we can have discussion, but I know the time is running and
Thank
everybody has
you.
to go to
That's a
work.
good point. They talk about the
Thank you very
offering.
much. Thank
Bhakti
you very
Sharma
much.
was once laughing and telling us a joke. There was two Sankirtan devotees that went on Sankirtan. So one devotee went in to buy some apples and some fruit and come out, and they were very hungry. So the devotee was sitting in the car, is thinking, "Oh, but then we come out with the offering." So while he's in there, he was sitting in the car and he offered the whole shop to the Lord. But I was saying, he offered the whole shop. He said, but the thing's covered, everything will be prasadam.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Mataji.
Hare
Your
Krishna.
encouragement is always highly valued.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam.
I hope you can hear me because I'm actually driving and hearing to your wonderful class. Is that clear, Prabhu?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Wonderful points about deity worship and the importance of Archa Vigraha as well. So, Prabhu, I'm just having a quick question and trying to clarify, because most of the devotees have this kind of question about the deity worship. So out of the 64 limbs of bhakti, we have the 5 topmost, and out of the 5, we have Archa Vigraha as one of them.
Yeah.
And is my understanding correct that the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is supersedes Archa Vigraha? And if someone says that I actually enjoy bliss in Archa Vigraha rather than doing chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so is that correct for their understanding, or do we still say that no, you have to do chanting? I know chanting is like accessible everywhere, you can do chanting, but when you do physically devotional service, as in terms of Archa Vigraha, they might enjoy more bliss. Will that be okay to do that?
So your question is that, is it okay if he puts all his energy into Archa Vigraha and doesn't chant? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
He doesn't prioritize chanting?
Yeah, prioritize chanting. Prioritize.
Okay.
For example, even my mother, she does a lot of
Yes.
deity worship in obviously like an Indian style of
Yes.
worship.
Yes.
But she's like very hesitant to do chanting, and when she does chanting, she does not easily.
Taste.
Yeah, the taste of chanting. Of course, like even sadhakas, for myself also, it's really, really hard to do chanting. And for someone like her, or maybe anyone who is like beginning in the devotional process, for them, Archa Vigraha is more dear. Probably it is because of the tradition, because of our own culture and ritual and stuff. But chanting is like really hard for them. So do we still say that, oh, you have to chant? Of course, you have to do deity worship, but you still have chanting?
See, my understanding is you do not spoil the relationship one has with the Lord.
Exactly.
So in a sense that, see, there's two considerations. Now, your mom is whole school, and she's set in a way. And what happens, she's already developed a relationship with the Lord in a certain aspect. So rather than saying, don't do this, you ask her some or the other to add onto that. So while she's doing the deities, like she can add to it. Now, this is not according to ISKCON standards. Now, that's the other thing we'll come to. So this is, I'm talking about in your mother's case, you don't tell her, no, you cut down on your Archa Vigraha and you implement more chanting. Yes, chanting is the end all and be all. if you do chanting, you know that is the Yuga Dharma for this age. You don't need to follow any of the other processes. Now, I'm not Brahmanical by nature. So for me to do arati and stuff like that, I do it because, it's our standard. We need to do it. But I'm not a Brahmanical person. So I didn't, I'm initiated for about, I don't know, 30 years or something now. But I didn't take Brahman initiation. Right? So Brahman initiation is for those who want to do deity worship. I do deity worship, almost, every day, or we share deity worship. But the thing is that with your mom's case, don't disrupt her, like you remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us, one devotee, don't worship Hanuman, don't worship Ramachandra, worship Krishna. And the next day he came and said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I can't do this. He says, yes, because your relationship with the Lord is that of Hanuman. You are a manifestation of Hanuman, so you'll never be happy apart from doing that. So then Chaitanya Prabhu told him, you continue your service, but implemented chanting in this age. So some or the other, you try to get your mom to get taste for chanting and say that the deities will be happy by chanting. So that's one consideration. Your mom is a unique circumstances, and I know that because I'm talking about my somehow our parents come from very old school. And when they have that kind of thing, and when you disturb it, it'll disturb their relationship with the Lord too. And I'm not sure that'll please the Lord. Like for instance, in Jagannath Puri, one devotee, one of our acharyas, went and corrected some devotees the way they were worshipping Lord Jagannath. And the next day he got up in another city. Lord Jagannath kicked him out from the city. He says, I have a relationship with that devotee. Why are you coming and spoiling things?
Yes.
So that's one. Now, the other consideration is we follow the founder Acharya, and he established a standard. So there's nothing more important than chanting the holy names, right? There's nothing more important. We have to follow Guru and Shastra. Nowhere is it mentioned, except for the one unique case of Vibhu Chaitanya, where Srila Prabhupada gave him an exception that he can cook for the deities breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he never slept at all, apart from a few hours at night and 2 hours during the day. This is all you're doing the whole day. But like maybe you can tell your mom, in this case, while you're doing it, you chant the Maha Mantra. And some or the other, the taste, the ruchi will come, and then she'll take the beads and start chanting. But if you push it down her throat, it'll be distasteful for her, and it'll affect already established service. So I would say in your mom's case, you implement it, but slowly in small doses without causing any disruption in an established relationship. But for the devotees that are coming on new, like you and I, we have to follow what the Acharya said, what ISKCON standard is.
Yes.
Right? We have to follow. There's nothing more, even like, for instance, the other day we spoke about, if we have a taste for Harinam on the street, that's holy name being chanted, but we have no taste for japa at home. Is that an acceptable standard? But my Guru Maharaj said no. He says, if you go and you like chanting on the street, but you have no taste for the chanting, then you don't have the taste for the holy name. You have taste for the musical accoutrements towards the chanting, the bongo drum, the mridanga, the dancing, the street, the vibe that is created, but not for the holy name. If you have taste for the holy name, you'll because that's between you and the Lord. That's a personal relationship. That's the time between you and the Lord, and your time together only. No one else. Right? So that time you'll relish chanting your holy name. And you'll think, this is what I need to do. I took a vow. You'll be amazed how many people took the vow and not chant 16 rounds a day. We took a vow that we will chant our Maha Mantra. So whether we like it or not, we make sure our 16 rounds are done. Now, here's the good thing is, one day I went to a class by Matsya Avatar Prabhu here in Brisbane. And he said, that 16 rounds a day is your promise to the Lord, your promise to Guru. What are you giving in this thing? So if you chant 16 rounds, only 16 rounds, Prabhupada never said we should chant 16 rounds. You know what Prabhupada said? Minimum 16 rounds, yes. So 16 rounds is not the end, it's only the start. So then sometimes when I go shopping and stuff, like, although I finish my 16 rounds, I'll take my beads and I'll chant. It might not be very, very, focused chanting, but it's better than just walking around without the mouth being moved for the holy names, vibrating the holy names. So, and then what I did was, because that the devotee said this about 18 years ago here in Brisbane Temple, I said, it makes sense. Why 16 rounds? So almost every day I chant an extra 2 rounds, as my minimum is 18. And then on my Kadashi, my Guru Maharaj, that's another story, but my Guru Maharaj made sure that I chant 25 rounds. So I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I'm doing it. by the Lord's mercy. So yes, so to answer your question, Prabhu, there's no exceptions. We got to chant our japa.
Yeah.
We got to chant our japa. Even, I'll give you an example. My Guru Maharaj has come stay with me. And from the moment I get up till all hours of the night, I was doing service, running here, doing this, taking care of devotees, cooking, cleaning, washing pots, because I was the host. And I didn't have time to chant my rounds. That's the only times in my life since I took initiation that I didn't chant my rounds. But I make a note. I chanted 2 rounds today. As soon as my Guru Maharaj is gone, I'll chant my 16 rounds and then I'll catch up on the rounds. Within 3 or 4 weeks, I'll catch up on the rounds that I couldn't do it. And that was the only exception I had for not chanting my rounds on those days. Is because I only got a few days opportunity to serve my Guru Maharaj. I prioritized that. But not that I deprioritized my chanting. I said, okay, the next couple of weeks I caught up. So that's my personal example. Yes, I don't think we should deviate from chanting our rounds. In fact, the higher you go, the more chanting you should do.
Yeah.
You know, like the gurus, the temple GBC, just lead by example. Once Jay Beda Maharaj was telling me, in 1996, I was walking in Mumbai with him. So I asked him, Maharaj, what service can I do you? Maharaj says, I got so much to do. I'm so busy. He says, can you chant my rounds for me? So he told me, Jay Beda Maharaj, can you chant my rounds for me? And he was laughing. I said, Maharaj, 1,000 of my rounds were only equivalent to 1 of your rounds. He's laughing. So your rounds are your rounds. No matter how big administrator, how big GBC you are, that chanting has to be done.
Yeah. No
matter how much service you're doing, the bigger you are, the more higher you are, the more focus you are on your japa, your chanting your 16 rounds.
Yeah, that's good point, Prabhu. Yeah,
I don't know if that helps you, Prabhu, but I would like
yeah.
other devotees to contribute because it's a very nice question.
It's a definitely valid point, Prabhu. Definitely, like especially like whether it is currently doing whether for the sadhakas or whether it is for the new devotees as well. Obviously, we were all new devotees when we were coming into Krishna consciousness as well, and we had our own taste and we had our own background as well, and everyone comes with their own interest of various things in the process of devotional service. So yeah, that's a very valid point that they can continue whatever they're doing, but still add chanting in whatever the form they can, whether it is a direct chanting or indirect chanting. When they're doing other services as well, incorporate chanting wherever possible, so that the Lord would be more pleased, and that adds more value to their service as well. Yeah, that's a good way of
I remember once Prabhupada told one devotee, he said, I'm so busy, I'm so tired, I'm so stressed. Yeah. Prabhupada said, leave your service right now. You're doing puja service, and you go sit somewhere and you chant. Prabhupada said, leave your service right now and go chant. So whenever you feel that, like Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, there's no joyful in your chant, in your service, in that you're doing that, there's no taste, there's no ruchi, and is executed without joy, then you leave that service immediately, because that service is not accepted. If you don't feel joy, the Lord is not going to feel joy. You go, you get your consciousness right by the holy name, you chant, and then once you feel your consciousness right, go back and do that service.
Yep. Sure. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for such
Thank you for your nice question, Prabhu. No anyone else? All right. Bhava Maya Mataji just wrote something quickly. I'll read that out. In understanding the instructions of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we may respectfully consider the following hierarchies: written instructions, recorded classes, conversations, and personal letters. Yes, thank you very much, Mataji. Very nice points. Exactly right. So we need to follow in that order. And we make sure that whatever instructions we got, no matter how high it comes from, that it is in line with these 4 points and sadhu and shastra. Thank you, Mataji. And then she also mentioned, we can tell someone like that your deities will be very pleased when you chant, as they are hearing and seeing everything you do. Yes, they are, because they are living. And yes, absolutely right, Mataji. We do develop a relationship. In fact, I got a personal example right here. Once I had smaller deities, and I was serving them for a long space. And if you have a look when you're looking on the right hand side, there are small gonitai, and then I've got another big set of gonitai. So when my Guru Maharaj gifted me the altar, we came with big gonitai deities. And so then we established the deity worship. My Guru Maharaj came and established the deity worship. And then when he came the next time around, he saw 2 gonitais on the altar. So he called me and asked me, why is that? Why you got 2 gonitais on the altar? I got a picture of, actually, Guru Maharaj asked me that. And I told Guru Maharaj, see, the small deities I've been worshiping for a long time and I developed a relationship. So I didn't feel like putting them to rest. And secondly, you gave these deities to my daughter. So I'll worship them until one of my children can take and worship them. And my Guru Maharaj was happy with that. And that is how I got 2 Gaunitai deities that I worship every day. I've got 2 Prabhupads now because my father-in-law moved here and brought their Prabhupads. So I get nice opportunity of worshipping 2 Prabhupads every day or worshipping 2 Gaunitais every day. More the merrier. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have got 2 sets of deities on my altar. 2 Gaunitayas and 2 sets of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. One belongs to my daughter, the other belongs to us. So they are all being worshipped. And there are 2 sets of Narasimha Dev, some Narasimha
Wow.
Dev, very special Narasimha Dev by my son-in-law. I don't know from where he brought, but you have never seen that sort of Narasimha Dev. You know, it's some sannyasis they visited and they asked me, where did he get this one? So I said, I don't know, but they are on my altar.
Wow.
So
maybe you can share a photo, Mataji, with everyone during the day today. It'd be nice to see you. So unique. I'm curious as well.
No, I'm fortunate, you know. And
Yes.
and what the deities, I think one time I just said the last thing that deities are so important. And these Gaur-Nitaya deities, like I used to travel every year to Vrindavan, and I had to take those deities with me. One time in Sydney, there was a seminar by Narasimha Kavach Prabhu, and I asked him, and I said, what do I do with my deities when I go to Vrindavan traveling? And he answered me, when you go somewhere, do you leave your children at home? And I said, no. Then that was the answer. You know, you can't leave your deities if you can't leave your children at home. You have to take them. I know it was difficult, like as you grow, becoming older and older. But this was in my mind that I never, because one time my Guru Maharaj, that he visited, and I didn't have the deities. And he came and he come for lunch, and then he was offering, and he said, where are your deities? Because I didn't bring them. Then I got the message from 2 people that I must take my deities with me. So I just made it a point that wherever I go, no matter whether I can worship them very nicely or not, but I always have them with them until I die.
Oh, Mataji, once you develop relationship, it's amazing. I remember when I was younger in the early days, like when somebody had a small deity at home, wow, they were like, super sadhus, like great devotees. How lucky you are to have deities, because it wasn't common to have deities at home. And every day when I walk in the temple room, I think, oh my God, how fortunate I am that Lord has given me the opportunity, that I can just walk and see the deities, You were telling the other day, when you go to the temple, sometimes you can't see the deities, and so many people are there. But when you go home, you can stand the whole day and it's just you and your deities. You can uninterrupted sweet rice.
They remind of your spiritual master, because it has been gifted, by the spiritual master. And every time you look at them, your spiritual master is not there, but you see he has given those deities. And of course, spiritual master is always there, because this is a relationship. These were given by your spiritual master, and in your case too.
Yes.
So really, we won't even stop talking. I think we have to do other work. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So
Krishna.
sweet of you. Dandava Pranam. I apologize, but I'm not sorry for the delay today. I hope you all understand. And you all have a wonderful, sweet day as well with Surya Gonitai. And please pay your obeisances on behalf of us to your worshipable deity, your Prananath. Please forgive our many offenses. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Have a wonderful spiritual day.
Hare Krishna. Same to everyone. Great Janaka Raj Das Prabhu Ji ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all for the opportunity and for tolerating me.
I think you have to close, because the host has
I am
gone.
closing now. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.